Hello and welcome back to the English Enlightenment Hub. In today's lesson, we'll explore 6 essential comma rules that are crucial for clear and effective writing. Proper punctuation can make a big difference in how your message is understood, so grab a pen and notebook, and let's get started. Rule number 1: use commas to separate items in a list of 3 or more. When you list 3 or more items in a sentence, use commas to separate each item. This rule applies to nouns, verbs, adjectives, or any other elements that are part of a series. For instance, if you say, "I packed pencils and notebooks," you only have 2 items, so a comma isn't necessary. However, when you expand the list to 3 items, like "I packed pencils, notebooks, and erasers," commas are required. You place a comma after each item except the last one to clearly separate each part of the list. This rule also applies to other types of lists. For example, if you're listing actions, such as "she likes to read, write, and paint," commas are used to separate each activity. Similarly, when describing something with multiple adjectives, like "the old, creaky, wooden chair," commas help to distinguish each descriptive word. Rule number 2: use comma to separate independent clauses joined by conjunctions. When connecting 2 complete thoughts, or independent clauses, with coordinating conjunctions like and, but, or, nor, for, so, or yet, place a comma before these conjunctions. Each independent clause can stand alone as its own sentence. For instance, in the sentence "she wanted to go to the park, but it started raining," the independent clauses are "she wanted to go to the park" and "it started raining." The comma before "but" clearly separates these 2 complete ideas. Similarly, in "he was excited about the trip, so he packed his bags early," the independent clauses are "he was excited about the trip" and "he packed his bags early," with the comma before "so" helping to connect these thoughts smoothly. Rule number 3: use comma after introductory elements. When we talk about using commas after introductory elements, we often refer to phrases or clauses that set up the main part of the sentence. For example, consider introductory elements like transitional words or phrases. These are not necessarily single words, but include terms like "however," "therefore," "in addition," and "on the other hand." When these words or phrases start a sentence, they introduce a shift in thought or provide additional context, and a comma is used right after them. For instance, in the sentence "However, I decided to go to the beach," "however" is the introductory element that signals a contrast with previous information, and the comma helps to clearly separate it from the main part of the sentence. Similarly, transitional phrases like "in addition" or "on the other hand" work the same way. For example, "in addition, we need to address the budget concerns." Here, "in addition" sets up additional information that will follow, and the comma helps in distinguishing this introduction from the main clause, "we need to address the budget concerns." Rule number 4: comma can be used to separate dependent and independent clauses when the dependent clause comes first. When writing a sentence that begins with a dependent clause, it's important to use a comma to separate it from the independent clause that follows. A dependent clause is a part of the sentence that contains a subject and verb but doesn't form a complete thought on its own. For instance, "although it was raining" is a dependent clause, because it leaves us wondering what happened next. An independent clause, on the other hand, can stand alone as a complete sentence and make sense on its own, such as "we decided to go for a walk." When these 2 types of clauses are combined, the comma is used to separate the dependent clause from the independent clause, helping to clearly convey the sentence's meaning. Let's look at another example. "Although she was tired, she finished her homework." Here, "although she was tired" is the dependent clause. It introduces a condition but doesn't express a complete idea by itself. The independent clause, "she finished her homework," completes the thought and can stand alone as a sentence. The comma is used after the dependent clause to signal the transition to the independent clause, making it clear that her finishing her homework happened despite her being tired. Rule number 5. Comma can be used to separate day, month, and year in dates. In the long date format, where you include the full day of the week, the month, the day of the month, and the year, commas are essential. For example, in the sentence, "The meeting is scheduled for Monday, October 7th, 2024, a comma follows Monday to separate it from the month and day, and another comma follows 7 to separate the day of the month from the year. This helps make each part of the date clear and distinct. In the short date format, where you list only the month, day, and year, commas are used in the same way. For instance, "The deadline is November 22nd, 2024, includes a comma after 22 to separate the day from the year. However, when only the month and year are given, such as in "The project starts in August 2024, no comma is needed between them. Rule number 6, use a comma to set off appositives. An appositive is a word or phrase that provides additional information by renaming a nearby noun. For example, in the sentence, "My aunt, a skilled gardener, grows beautiful flowers," the phrase "a skilled gardener" is an appositive that gives extra detail about my aunt. The commas around "a skilled gardener" indicate that this detail is additional and not essential to the core meaning of the sentence. If you remove the appositive, the sentence still makes sense: "My aunt grows beautiful flowers." However, when an appositive is essential to understanding which specific noun is being referred to, it does not use commas. For instance, in "The author J.K. Rowling is famous for her Harry Potter series," J.K. Rowling is a restrictive appositive that specifies which author is meant. Without J.K. Rowling, the sentence would be unclear because it doesn't identify which author is being discussed. Another example is Seattle, the city known for its coffee, is often rainy. The phrase "the city known for its coffee" is a non-restrictive appositive, providing extra information about Seattle. The commas show that this detail is additional, and the main sentence, "Seattle is often rainy," still conveys the primary message. Using commas with appositives helps clearly separate additional information from the main point of the sentence, ensuring that your writing is both clear and precise. You can check the quiz below to test your understanding of comma rules. Don't forget to subscribe for regular updates and more content like this. See you next time.